Welcome back to the 52 Parks project. Today we are working on park number 15. Now, last week we did a no detail park just using assets. Some of you might have guessed, this week we're doing an all prop park with no assets. Let's get started. Now, being that there will not be any assets in this park, just props, I definitely want to pull through a path through the center of this park just to encourage some movement so that when people do move into this area, we do see them walking through the park. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay down a little bit of parking, not much, it's a very tiny park, and pull through that main pedestrian path right through the middle. Next thing I'm going to do is pull some fencing around the park. That's going to really help define the space. Now what I'd like to do is put the little prop gazebo right in the middle. So what I'd like to do is create a path around and just make that the center of the park. There we go. It took a little bit of finagling with Move It, and it's definitely not perfect, but it works. Okay, so now we're gonna go in and go right into our props, and we are gonna grab the pavilion, the gazebo. We're gonna put that right in here. Perfect. And then it's nice that we have a little bit of space for landscaping. I think we should put in some tiny flowers here. I think that would look really pretty. We want to make sure not to cover up the stairs here, so we just want to make sure we leave some space there for that. Okay, I think that looks really nice, and we've left enough room for someone to walk up the stairs and go onto under the gazebo. So we've got a really nice start to our prop only park. I think we go ahead and use this corner for a playground. So again, we're going to go into our props, and there's lots of fun little playground assets that are in here. Let's put this in the middle. We'd want it to be accessed from all sides. And same with this one. We want a little space in between. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it. And then I'm gonna use a little bit of surface painter here really carefully, just to help define the space here a little bit. That looks really nice. Let's move this in just slightly. Let's actually turn this. Let's move this here. And the next thing I want to do is bring in some nice benches for the parents to sit while the kids play. This is going to be really important. Very nice. And then we'll be able to pull through a little landscaping here to help define this space even further. Yeah, this is the tree I was thinking of. It's a nice small tree. And then something else. Oh, I do like this one. A bit larger here, more substantial at the corner. Could be very nice. There we go. Again, that just helps define the space using landscaping, and then we have a lovely little playground there. That's really nice. So the other thing I want to think about here is some trash cans, of course. So let's go ahead and add garbage and recycle right here. Yeah, I think that's going to be really nice. Okay, beautiful. Okay, in this corner over here, I think we're going to set up just the tiniest little dog park ever. Just something very small. Now in dog parks, there's always like two entrances. There's the entrance you walk through with your dog, and then there's an additional gate where you can get your dog off the leash, get prepared, and then let them into the park. So we're going to try to create that here. It does get a little tricky because we're in a tight little space. So I think we can do it. Okay, we have to use a little bit of our imagination here, but you could see how, I'm actually gonna move this in a little bit more. You can see how you can walk into this area with your dog, get them off your leash, and then let them into the park like so. Okay, we have a couple little assets here just for the dog. So we have a little dog park sign. Okay, that works. We give that a little room so you can still read and then come into the dog park. Okay, so then we have a lovely little dog trash can. That's always at the front of the park. Now with a larger dog park, you might see these throughout the park, but with this size, we only need one. Okay, and then we have the dog watering station. Let's put that here. I think that'll be really nice. Very cute. And there's a couple of activities the dogs want to do, a little agility. That's always fun. Kind of put this over in this area here. Okay, it's very simple, a cute little dog park. Again, with some landscaping will really help pull together the space. Some trees here. Let's go ahead and put this one here in the corner, this large tree. And then let's go back to our small tree again. Yeah, it doesn't take much landscaping to really help define a space. And that looks really nice now. So the other thing we want to have is definitely a nice little bench or two. Let's put them in the shade. Let's put one here. And let's put one in this corner under this tree here. The other thing that I always appreciate in a dog park is sometimes there will be a nice little picnic table or two. So we're just gonna set in one. That's all we need. Have that here in the corner. Under the shade here. Feel like that's nice. Okay, we are on a roll. So there is our little dog park. Yeah, that's really nice. Nice amenity for the community here. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do over here is something I really like to do is these little tables. They have the little chessboard. So we're gonna set up a little place for people to play chess in the park. This is gonna be really nice. I think we are gonna give it a little bit of a pavement, or actually we could use, let's use some tiles. That'll actually look really nice. Okay, I think I'm gonna use these. They're pretty basic, but that's really nice. So I'm gonna go right, I'm gonna leave some room for landscaping. I like that very much. Okay, the other thing you'll see at chessboards like this is there will always be benches for people waiting to play. So we're gonna create that little area here. Okay, and then the other thing, I think right around here, the newspaper stand would actually be really nice. So let's bring that in. Okay, we're saving. Okay, let's bring this back a little bit like so. And then if we put the newspaper stand here as you're coming into the park, I think that's really nice. Okay, Okay, and now we have our little chess board area. Nice little chess in the park. Again, we're going to come back with our simple landscaping. Let's actually do a big tree on this side, again, just to help define that space. And then we'll go with our small tree there. I think that's lovely. And then I think right here is perfect for a fountain. So let's grab our fountain here. Yeah, we're gonna put this right in the middle here. We are also going to use a little surface painter. Go around this. And let's go ahead and center up our fountain here. That's gonna be very nice. Okay, again, we'll pull through some nice benches here. And then again, we're going to use some flowers to define this area. Lovely. Okay, and then I think this is the point where we pull in some little larger bushes to line right here, and then let's pull in our other tree. So we have one here, that kind of helps line that up. That's really nice. But it's nice. I like leaving this open. You can still wander from spot to spot and walk through and access that. So I think that's really nice. And then I think what we can do here is bring through a bit of color. Yeah, that's very nice. And this is the perfect spot to also bring through just tuck a couple little picnic tables here. I think that's a nice use of the space. Lovely. I really like this. This is very pretty. We're really establishing all these different little uses in the park. That way this small park is really for everybody, which is great. Now, you know I talk about all the time how important it is to have open spaces in your park and not feel like you need to fill everything up. You need an open space where people can picnic, bring their own blanket, toss a frisbee, just run around. So we're just going to define this space with a little bit of landscaping and just leave it open. That way the community can use it for whatever it likes. The last thing we're going to bring in is a public restroom. That's always really important to have in a park. There we go. That's really nice. And that makes sense too. It's nice to have the restroom right across from the playground. And then we still have all this nice open space that can be used for whatever the community wants. Well, I hope you enjoyed this prop only park, showing you how you can build a little park in your community with only props. The opposite of what we did last week. We're just showing you can just use assets. So I thought this would be really fun to do these little two parks back to back. And so I hope this gave you some inspiration and some ideas of how to utilize props really simply and easy. This park took about the same amount of time that our asset park took. I think maybe a teeny bit longer, but it really goes to show just how easy it is to create little spaces for your community and just how to use the landscaping to define those spaces. The assets, they do that for you. They really help to define this space, but this is a fun way to build a park as well. And of course, you guys know I like to combine them both, assets and lots of detailing. And that's what we'll be back to next week when we do park number 16. I hope you all have a joyful day, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.